Generally, there are a number of juggernaut teams that start out hot and are able to ride their talent all the way to the postseason. And inversely, the real bottom dwellers that can't get out of the gates. But this year, we have really seen quite a few teams fighting against the tides to turn their seasons around. And of course, vice versa. One story is about the teams climbing, young rosters figuring it out, coaches finding rhythm. And the other, well, it's a veterans breaking down, chemistry fading, and windows quietly closing. 2025 has been that in spades. Through 5 weeks, we've seen clear examples of franchises that are turning the tide and starting to look dangerous, while others are teetering on the edge of disaster. So let's get right into it and break down 5 NFL teams trending toward legitimate contention and 5 that look like they're seconds away from total collapse. Trending towards contending, New England Patriots. There's a real difference between playing encouraging football and being for real. And don't look now, but the New England Patriots just crossed that line. Mike Vrabel's crew just walked into Buffalo and stole a game late on the strength of an Andy Borregales game winner with seconds left. Perhaps even more promising for Patriots Nation, Drake May went 22 of 30 for 273. Stephon Diggs showed signs of life, and the Pats snapped the Bills' 14-game regular season home win streak. That's not a cute step in a rebuild, that is a statement on the road against a heavyweight. And it wasn't just the counting numbers either. May stepped up and played grown man football on the money downs. He was decisive from the pocket, on time to the perimeter, and unfazed by the noise around battling against a division rival. The defense handled the rest, tightening in the red zone and forcing Buffalo to win the long way. That is some old school Foxborough DNA showing up for a new era. And Vrabel has to be pumped to see it this early in year 1. While the early schedule hasn't been soft, they have a couple of favorable matchups on the horizon, meaning if the Pats can avoid a backslide, they have a great opportunity to rattle off a few wins and put themselves in contention. Under Vrabel's leadership, New England's figured out how to avoid the back-breaking mistakes, sustain cleaner possessions, and execute better situational calls. Honestly, they have all the makings of a very dangerous wildcard team. About to collapse? Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, sorry Raiders Nation. I know everyone came in with hope renewed, thinking that Pete Carroll and Geno Smith would stabilize things for the silver and black, but it has gotten ugly fast, and it is trending all in the wrong direction. The Raiders are 1-4 and just lost in humiliating fashion by a final score of 40-6 at Indianapolis. Now, to be fair, they played that one without Brock Bowers, but still, that is tough sledding. The only silver lining for Las Vegas has been the recent emergence of 2025 first-round pick Ashton Jeanty, but beyond that, yikes. Geno Smith has reverted back to his Jets form and just can't seem to protect the football, and the defense is fighting hard behind Max Crosby, but it's limited with what it can do based on the continued situations that the offense puts it in. They have a slight break with Tennessee up next on the schedule, but then it's off to Arrowhead to face a hungry Chiefs team before the Raiders' bye week. If they aren't careful, they could find their season with a nail in the coffin by the time they finally get to the bye. Trending towards contending, Denver Broncos. Through 5 weeks, Denver is 3-2, highlighted by a 21-17 win over the previously unbeaten Eagles. While there was excitement about Denver coming into the season, their play has been up and down to start the season. But the vibes are all the way up after that impressive win against the defending champions in Week 5. This rings particularly true because the victory came with a late touchdown drive and 2 defensive stops in the fourth quarter, showing some real resilience in crunch time against a top NFC team. Under Sean Payton, the offense finally really started to develop an identity and some backbone on the strength of a solid rushing game and impressive quarterback play from the young Bo Nix. Understanding who you are as a team when it's time to settle the game down is critical, and the Broncos are doing a great job of just that. Denver is not winning with cheap tricks. They're winning inside an adaptable system, and that is the most sustainable thing in football. The Broncos were stuck in quarterback purgatory and coaching turmoil for years, but now, under Payton's regime, they finally look steady. If the offensive line holds together, the Broncos' combination of run game plus play action and opportunistic defense makes them a legitimate AFC playoff contender. About to collapse? Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, about to collapse might actually be too kind of a designation for a Cincinnati Bengals Bengals team that has looked absolutely lost without its signal caller Joe Burrow under center. The Bengals are 2-3 and hanging on by a thread, and the quarterback question is the whole story right now. Jake Browning's fourth quarter against Detroit was a little bit enlivening for the Bengals fan base, as he finally had the offense moving, but it came after 3 quarters with 3 interceptions, and Browning owned it afterward, admitting to the media that he has to be better. Week 5 pushed Cincy to its breaking point, it seems, as they finally made a move and brought in Joe Flacco to try and help steady the ship until Burrow returns, which, man, that is still a big ask. The Bengals might be 2 months away from medical clearance, and that's if everything trends right, which means any just tread water plan has to work now, not in December. And man, that runway is not friendly. Green Bay's up next, then Pittsburgh. Both are the kind of grinded out games that punish mistakes. If Flacco can't find his footing fast in Cincinnati, then it'll be curtains for a popular pick coming into this year to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Trending towards contending, Jacksonville Jaguars. At 4-1, Jacksonville just earned what might well be its most significant win of the Trevor Lawrence era. One that shows the growth from a team with talent to a legit contender. Their Week 5 31-28 comeback over Kansas City was just that big. Lawrence finished 18 of 25 for 221 yards with 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception, and 2 rushing scores, including the game winner with 23 seconds left, which pushed the Jaguars to their first 4-1 start since 2007. Head coach Liam Cohen, in his first year, has quickly built credibility throughout the organization and the broader NFL ecosystem. The offensive plan has been efficient, leaning on Travis Etienne's dual threat ability and positioning Lawrence to spread the ball to a deep receiver room. Defensively, Joshua Hines-Allen continues to anchor the pass rush, while the secondary has vastly improved its discipline. Jacksonville's not perfect, the offensive line still gives up pressure and obvious passing downs, and the secondary will be tested against top-tier wideouts later on in the season. But compared to the inconsistency of prior years, this team is closing out games, protecting the football, and playing situational football at a much, much higher level. About to collapse, Arizona Cardinals. Following one of the most shocking finishes to a game in recent memory, a devastating loss to the lowly Carolina Panthers, Arizona is now 2-3. To make matters worse, they were already without James Conner for the season, who had to get foot and ankle surgery. And his backup? Trey Benson. The injuries in the run game have put even more pressure on Kyler Murray to deliver, something that has proven to be a significant challenge, particularly when he and his supposed top receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., can't seem to get on the same page. Their immediate schedule isn't particularly forgiving either. First, they travel to Indianapolis to take on a 4-1 Colts team in Week 6, then host Green Bay before resting on bye. Yeah, let's just say it wouldn't be a huge shock to see them go into the bye week at 2-5, with their season firmly behind the 8 ball. Trending towards contending, San Francisco 49ers. After the most challenging season in the Kyle Shanahan era, people in and around the NFL weren't quite sure what to expect out of the 49ers. But they've managed to build some serious early season momentum in spite of the injury bug biting early and often once again. At 3-2, San Francisco pushed itself back toward the NFC's upper tier because their formula is just that stable and adaptable. The run game, built around Christian McCaffrey, still sets the tone, and Kyle Shanahan's offensive system continues to generate open looks regardless of who's under center, whether that's Mac Jones or Brock Purdy. If San Francisco can manage to get and stay relatively healthy, they'll be a fixture in the NFC playoff picture, and one of the teams best positioned for a deep postseason run. About to collapse, Baltimore Ravens. For a team that was forecasted to be among the favorites in the AFC coming into the year, things have gotten just about as bad as it gets. The Ravens have dealt with injuries in multiple premium spots, both at quarterback with Lamar Jackson missing time and forcing them to resort to Cooper Rush, and on defense, which is visible on every single down. With Lamar limited by a hamstring issue, the offense is all but completely sold out, and their slow start to the year has really put them behind the 8 ball. Baltimore is now 1-4 coming off a 44-10 home loss to Houston, which was tied for the most lopsided home defeat in franchise history, and it frankly looks like things could get worse before they ever get any better, especially if Lamar continues to be sidelined. There's time, but it's running out. Next week against the Rams is a huge game for them. If they can eke out a W, then they'll get a much-needed reprieve in the form of the Week 7 bye. But don't be surprised to see the Ravens pull the plug on this season in relatively short order if they can't find some magic over the next couple of weeks. 6. Trending towards contending, Houston Texans. Despite having the worst record among the teams trending towards contending featured on this list, the Texans might be the most dangerous team in the league right now. Or at least one of them. After starting the season 0-3, Houston has bounced back with 2 straight wins, capped off by a 44-10 blowout of Baltimore in Week 5. Quarterback CJ Stroud was nearly flawless, completing 23 of 27 passes for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns without a turnover, marking his second consecutive masterpiece, equal parts efficient and dominant. That offensive line deserves some credit too. After struggling in September, they allowed just 2 sacks against a usually tough Ravens front. With cleaner pockets, Stroud's processing and accuracy stood out, and the offense looked balanced again. If this offense can keep moving in the right direction, this team will be scary come playoff time, because they have one of, if not the most, ferocious defense in the game today. About to collapse, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City's issue is not talent. It's execution in the moments that decide games. Shocking to say, but through 5 weeks, the Chiefs sit below 500, and their late collapse against Jacksonville really summed up their season to date. Early control, then critical errors. They led by 2 scores, surrendered a 99-yard interception return, and failed to finish drives. The offense just doesn't seem to have that same punch that it has in years past. Sure, defensively, they've been competitive. The front rotates well, the secondary has held its own, and the effort level isn't in question. But it isn't quite dominant enough to win games on its own. If the Chiefs can manage to cut the red zone and third down inefficiency, they can steady the season. They got the pedigree to do it, that's for sure. But if not, close games will continue to swing away from them, and a slow start will become a very real slide. But hey, which NFL team do you think is most trending toward contending in 2025? Which do you think is about to collapse? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.